For over a century, the United States and Canada shared more than just a border. They built a seamless economic partnership, one that became the envy of the world. This relationship was forged not only by geography, but by a deep sense of trust and mutual benefit that spanned generations. Every day, billions of dollars in goods and services crossed this invisible line, blurring the distinction between the two economies. The border became a gateway, not a wall, as products, resources, and ideas flowed in both directions with remarkable ease. This wasn't just about trade, it was about people. Millions whose jobs, livelihoods, and daily routines depended on this constant flow. Families grew up in border towns, often with relatives and friends on both sides, sharing traditions and building communities together. American car manufacturers relied on Canadian parts to keep their assembly lines moving, while Canadian lumber built countless American homes. The supply chains were so intertwined that a single product might cross the border several times before reaching its final destination. Energy, ideas, and innovation moved freely, creating a vast, efficient marketplace that powered both nations. Engineers and scientists collaborated across borders, pushing the boundaries of technology and progress. For workers, it meant steady jobs and opportunities for advancement. For consumers, it brought lower prices, more choices, and access to the best each country had to offer. Businesses thrived on predictability, making long-term investments with confidence, knowing that the rules of engagement would remain stable and fair. A Vermont shop could easily source specialty goods from Quebec, while a Toronto tech startup could hire talent from Silicon Valley or collaborate with partners in Boston. The border was a bridge, not a barrier, for innovation and growth. This certainty was the bedrock of prosperity, allowing businesses and families alike to plan for the future with optimism and security. Generations took this relationship for granted. The border was just a line on a map, not a barrier to dreams or opportunity. People crossed for work, for shopping, or simply to visit friends, rarely thinking twice. Communities like Buffalo and Fort Erie felt like one, united by shared festivals, sports teams, and a sense of belonging that transcended nationality. The partnership was quiet, unassuming, and profoundly successful. Its strength measured not in headlines but in the everyday lives it enriched. No one imagined how quickly it could unravel. The idea that such a strong bond could be threatened seemed unthinkable, almost impossible. Yet the unbreakable bond was about to face its greatest test, as new challenges and tensions began to surface. The world watched, often unaware that the model of collaboration they admired was suddenly on the brink of change. The story of North America was about to change, and with it, the lives of millions who depended on this partnership. What seemed permanent was, in fact, fragile, a reminder that even the strongest relationships require care and vigilance. The first cracks were about to appear, signaling a new and uncertain chapter in the history of North American cooperation. In 2025, everything changed. America First became official doctrine, and Washington announced sweeping tariffs on Canadian steel, aluminum, lumber, and auto parts. The goal: protect American jobs. The effect: economic war on its closest partner. The border hardened overnight. New regulations and inspections created massive backlogs. Canada, once a friend, was now cast as an adversary. The spirit of cooperation vanished, replaced by suspicion and hostility. Canadians felt betrayed. The U.S. had always been a trusted ally. Tariffs raised costs for American companies, hurting the very workers they aimed to protect. The world watched in disbelief. If the U.S. could turn on Canada, no partnership was safe. Global markets shuddered as the era of predictable, rules-based trade ended. Agreements could now be torn up on a whim, the rupture was total, and the aftershocks would last for years. The message was clear: trust could be broken overnight. The great unraveling had begun. The impact of the trade war was both immediate and deeply personal, touching lives in ways that statistics could never fully capture. In Ohio, an auto parts factory that depended on affordable Canadian steel suddenly faced soaring costs, forcing management to lay off workers and halt production lines that had run for decades. North of the border, steel mills in Hamilton and Sault Ste. Marie saw orders dry up overnight, triggering mass layoffs and leaving entire communities uncertain about their future. Dairy farmers, already struggling to make ends meet, lost their main export market, leaving milk unsold and barns eerily quiet as hope faded. Truckers who once crossed the border daily now sat in endless lines, their incomes slashed and their livelihoods hanging in the balance as goods piled up at checkpoints. Small businesses near border crossings, once bustling with customers from both countries, saw their clientele vanish almost overnight, leaving owners desperate and storefronts empty. The pain rippled through families, lost jobs, lost savings, and lost futures. Parents struggled to explain the sudden hardships to their children as dreams of college or retirement slipped away. Workers on both sides of the border were told these policies would help them, but instead they paid the price, watching their livelihoods disappear while promises went unfulfilled. America First slogans rang hollow in shuttered factories and empty diners, where the only thing left was a sense of betrayal and loss. Canadians felt abandoned by a neighbor they'd trusted for generations, their faith in cross-border friendship shaken as economic ties unraveled. The trade war wasn't just a political game, it was a wrecking ball for ordinary families, forcing some to pack up their lives and leave behind the only homes they'd ever known. Economic security and faith in the future were shattered, replaced by anxiety and uncertainty about what tomorrow might bring. The true cost was measured in lives, not just dollars. Families torn apart, communities hollowed out, and dreams put on hold. The damage was everywhere, visible in every empty street and silent factory, and for those living through it, the pain was all too real. Canada had to adapt, fast. The government launched an ambitious plan to diversify. Breaking its dependence on the U.S. trade deals with Europe and the Pacific became the new foundation. Diplomats sold Canada as a stable, reliable partner worldwide. Businesses pivoted. Manitoba Pork went to Japan, Waterloo Tech to Germany. The transition was tough, but essential. Investments poured into AI, clean tech, and advanced manufacturing. Canada's identity shifted, no longer America's junior partner but a global player. The gamble was huge, but slowly, it paid off. New markets opened, new supply chains formed, a more resilient Canadian economy began to emerge. Meanwhile, the U.S. felt the sting of isolation. The promised manufacturing boom never came. Tariffs on Canadian goods raised costs for American automakers and builders. Jobs vanished instead of returning. Construction slowed, housing prices soared, and energy markets grew volatile. The workers meant to be protected found themselves unemployed. The U.S. lost trust, not just with Canada, but globally. Allies built new trade networks, leaving America behind. The nation's role as global anchor faded. Walls went up, opportunities dwindled. The economic slowdown was structural, not temporary. Lost jobs, shuttered businesses, and diminished influence became the new reality. The price of isolation was steep. The reckoning had arrived. The 2025 trade war redrew North America's map. The U.S. and Canada, once intertwined, now diverged sharply. Canada embraced globalism, becoming a self-reliant, cosmopolitan nation. Its cities thrived, attracting talent and investment from around the world. The U.S. turned inward, its society more insular, its economy stagnating. Cross-border exchange slowed to a trickle. Border states suffered and political polarization deepened. Canada charted its own course, no longer defined by its neighbor. The divorce was painful, but decisive. Two nations, once partners, now pursued separate destinies. The continent was split, two paths, two futures. The lesson of the 2025 trade war is clear. Trust is the true currency of prosperity. When trust is lost, even the strongest economies can falter, and relationships that took generations to build can unravel in a matter of months. For over a century, the U.S. and Canada thrived on a foundation of mutual trust and cooperation, building not just wealth, but a sense of shared destiny across their long border. The crisis showed how quickly trust can be destroyed, and how hard it is to rebuild. In a flash, decades of partnership were put to the test, and uncertainty replaced confidence. Even if policies change, the memory of betrayal lingers. Wounds left by broken promises do not heal overnight, and suspicion can outlast any official agreement. Canadian businesses, once burned, won't rush back. Many are cautious, weighing every decision, knowing that stability is no longer guaranteed. Predictability, once lost, is slow to return. Supply chains that once flowed smoothly now move with hesitation, and investments are made with greater reluctance. The damage went beyond economics. It struck at the heart of partnership. The sense of unity and shared purpose was shaken, leaving both sides questioning what comes next. Rebuilding will take more than new deals. It demands a return to mutual respect and reliability. Only through honest dialogue and consistent actions can trust be restored. The world is watching, learning that even the strongest bonds are fragile. Other nations take note, realizing that alliances can be tested in unexpected ways. Nationalism, unchecked, can become self-harm. When pride turns to isolation, everyone pays the price: workers, families, and entire communities. The rusting factories and new shipping routes tell the same story. Things fall apart quickly, but recovery is slow. The scars of disruption are visible in every empty warehouse and every diverted shipment. The future depends on whether both nations have learned this hard lesson. Will they choose to rebuild together or drift further apart? The road back is long but not impossible. With patience, effort, and a renewed commitment to partnership, healing can begin. The choice is theirs, and ours. In the end, it is up to all of us to decide whether we let the past define us or work together to build a stronger future.